I'd like to start with thanking you all very much for this invitation. And also, I brought my coffee if my voice is not bearing all the way. Got a cold last night, although I am working and living in Norway, which is usually much colder than here. The presentation, I have this. When I prepared for this presentation, I worked on the abstract that should sum up my views on risk as a condition of our society. So I wrote the abstract, then found it extremely naive. It was too broad, too romantic, too unrealistic. First of all, due to the unimaginable implications that environmental, technical, financial, and other social subsystems should be considered and simultaneously comprehended as parts of a larger whole, that is, our society. Secondly, and in contrast to the current bleak outlook of our world, the optimistic assertion that a sustainable future world involving satisfied human beings relies on collaborative management of this whole system. However, the abstract was sent, and although I still find the approach naive at a first glance, I do believe it actually presents some of the core challenges to the current generations. We need to think outside the familiar everyday box. The main question, as I see it, concerns what kind of world we want to pass on to future generations. That is a more important question than if we actually will be able to fully achieve the goals. Because a clear vision of strategy should precede specific problem solving. Mentally, at least, we need to detach ourselves from historic determinism in the realm of social and societal development. Social events are not inevitable, although in hindsight a historic path can be traced. We are not, and at least not yet, auxiliary parts of pre-programmed biotechnological systems. We are living proofs of a long line of hunter-gatherers and tool makers who took the fire into use, made choices and decisions. All available alternatives involve risk, but the trick is to strengthen and maintain the thread that prevents Damocles' sword falling down on ourselves and on mankind as a species. The fact that we are here today does not guarantee that we will be here tomorrow. However, the fact that we are actually here today gives us possibilities to do better. The legend or anecdote has it that Damocles commented to his king that as a great man of authority, power, and magnificent surroundings, the king was extremely fortunate. The king proposed to switch places, and Damocles got to enjoy every luxury, and in addition, a sword hanging above the throne attached to the ceiling by a single hair of a horse's tail. I believe this anecdote nicely summarizes my overall message regarding risk as a condition of our society. Mankind has never before seen such astonishing achievements in private life and in societal life. As human beings, we constantly face challenges that involve both possibilities of gain and the possibility of loss. Just as Damocles' story tells that he came to beg the king to be relieved of his fortunate situation, we often beg to be relieved of risks, challenges, and duties, although the single power to hear such prayer is not of this world. This world instead offers collaboration if we dare to face the challenges. However, competition for scarce resources and heightened social insecurity can turn achieved benefits and future prospects into social hazards if we let fear and distrust dominate. The current global world is connected on many levels. People travel, technological systems and infrastructures are widespread, and sometimes without boundaries. Environmental damage, as well as environmental improvements, are not limited to local situations. We are quickly informed about current events, and reactions to information also tends to be very quick. The global availability of information, for example via internet and new mass communication means, facilitates contacts, learning, and comparison. This transparency creates dreams, and it creates means of participation. The information flow and the increased transparency do also involve, however, knowledge of unimaginable disasters, utter vulnerability, and the possibility of quickly spread hazards. They could be viruses, radioactive clouds, climate change, or computer shocks. Humans have needs, but also resources. Intelligence and learning from others can create possibilities and strategies for problem solving. Today, artificial matter increasingly functions as auxiliary brains, generating, controlling, storing vital components of knowledge and of social and technological functioning. The globalization and high connectivity involve challenges that seem to be byproducts of the development rather than foreseen or calculated consequences. Thus, system vulnerabilities often appear unexpected as surprises or shocks, be it in the financial, technological, or environmental sectors, although risk and safety analysis were often performed. System failure can be caused intentionally or unintentionally, and not the least through the sheer complexity of interrelated components, and often result in widespread unanticipated ripple effects. Complexity and uncertainty go hand in hand. Safety has strongly been attached to the technological world, human errors, component and system failures. The term security has for a long time been especially attached to soft threats, such as breaching of internal secrets or intentional threats to life and property, for example, state or industrial espionage, crime and terrorism. The current intertwined contents of the two concepts illustrate clearly the high level of connectivity and the futility of trying to separate various subsystems. Nevertheless, we look ahead in the same short-sighted manner as if the world was flat and safety lay in the approaching the horizon where the world ends. Especially so regarding the important and the impact of the volatile nature of social and political systems, which are even less understood than our technological achievements, and which should be subjected to much more rigorous analysis. Maybe the tension between freedom and determinism in this arena of life is both an eternal threat as well as a profound blessing. Nevertheless, we are increasingly concerned with risk, safety, and security, and such perceptions and sentiments may easily take on new meanings with new effects in an interconnected global society. So what does risk management and governance mean in this new world? Are governance structures lagging behind the accelerating complexity and interrelatedness? Are we considering risk to whom and benefit to whom? Are we even interested in the answers? Also in this respect, we have prior examples. The United Nations organization was rather recently established to safeguard peace and security, and to promote and encourage respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms for all, without distinction as to race, sex, language, or religion. Can this type of inclusive and socially just governance be further developed? I think and I hope so, certainly. Mankind has always strived to fulfill basic needs such as safety and nourishment. We have traveled from the trees and caves to spectacular high-rise buildings and into outer space by utilizing intelligence, cooperation, and tools. The tools have become highly effective, irrespective of beneficial or destructive use. The effects of many emerging technologies, however, cannot be conclusively determined. The hard world is becoming more fuzzy. So is the relation between the creator and the artifact. Intelligent developments thrive on many giants' shoulders, and currently also on artificially created sources and means of intelligence functions. In the social world, or soft world, we strive for satisfaction and well-being. These are mental states. Nevertheless, such desirable mental states have become closely attached to consumption and economic wealth. Why is that? A simple answer would be that we live in a consumer society, and that money is a commodity transferable to freedom and choice, and maybe also power and bliss. However, strives could instead involve experience of affection, beauty, creativity, knowledge, and pride of group achievements. However, such pure mental experiences are more often than not seen as means to goals rather than goals in themselves. Thus, the mental and social worlds have become closely attached to the hard world. There seem to be tendencies, however, that people continue to search for inner peace, meaning, and higher-than-life goals, sometimes with devastating effects. Cooperation is still a catchword, but has to be considered and balanced against competition. We are still hunter-gatherers of sorts. Attachment to the in-group is seen as one universal human characteristic. This tendency to feel attached to and to favor those perceived to belong to one's own group was termed ethnocentrism for more than a century ago. The concepts of us and we carry positive emotional significance. Such meaning seems activated automatically and without conscious cognitive processing. The in-group arouses more affection and trust, more cooperation than competition. Success to the own group is attributed to positive group characteristics, such as ability, whereas failures are attributed to external circumstances and chance. Other groups' success, on the other hand, are attributed to external circumstances and their failures to their lack of ability. This phenomenon is known as the ultimate attribution error. Thus, not only do we need to reflect upon how to best achieve well-being, we also need to reflect upon how to define the in-group worthy of concern, affection, and trust. Currently, we face a situation which, according to some, holds the possibility of a collapsing environment, seen, of course, from the ethnocentric perspective, which holds that mankind will be unable to survive on a severely climatically altered and by other factors rendered unsustainable planet, where technological and financial systems and innovations may, or may not, hold the keys to sustainable life conditions. And where global social trust and collaboration is not even seriously considered. I suggest that the principle of survival of the fittest is only applicable within living and social systems, not when such subsystems have to be aligned together with natural forces and technological subsystems into an interconnected entity or functionality. In such an interconnected system, there is no winner if or when the system collapses. The most grossly neglected subsystem is the social one. The neglect stretches from individual well-being to collective interests, from minority rights to governance accountability. No matter how widespread, powerful, or effective our technologies are, they cannot solve matters of trust and cooperation for mankind on their own initiative. There could be clear strategies and decisions, however, aimed at mending worn-out social fabrics, inspiring hope and collaboration. There is a side to human life conditions that has been foremost restricted to the individual and local sphere, which hold wonder for beauty, awe for knowledge and genius, creativity, freedom of thought, social respect and participation. A core challenge is to acknowledge and implement these qualities on a much larger scale, to apply them to the human subsystem within the natural setting and collective and technological structures of our planet. Central tasks would involve to clarify and to enforce human rights and obligations, to find ways that actually balance or reconcile disparities and conflicts, and to build opportunities. Social dilemmas are defined as choice situations in which individuals or groups acting in self-interest make decisions that lead to collective disaster. Similarly, one can gain more in a competitive setting if someone else loses, as compared to sharing in the first place. But one would also take the risk of losing out totally if a non-collaborating competitor wins. Current trend analysts, although not in total agreement, emphasize the influence of disparity of wealth, power and opportunities on societal resilience and the future world situation. This influence is seen as strongly enhanced by the global availability of information and thus possibilities for comparison to the own situation. Disparities can spur achievement when opportunities are available and social mobility possible. If opportunities are not available, for example, jobs, equal rights, social justice, resentment and distrust will follow. Identification processes in the scale of groups, nations, or specific interests may accentuate and thrive on differences rather than acknowledge and contribute to common goals and common challenges. Primal survival instincts are non-cognitive and short-sighted, and thus far from ideal basis for complex problem solving. Seeds of dystopia are recognized easily enough. Still, we wonder about the decline of social trust. Why is that? The current social system involves trust in the familiar, strong but very close kinships, and an upward comparison that often results in perceptions of inequality and even injustice. From my perspective, the current greatest challenge with respect to safeguarding future generations lies in our ability to create a global kinship in this soft world. That is, to create an overall we feeling. Thus, we need a focus on mind rather than on matter when it comes to issues of risk and safety, as well as human and environmental well-being and a prosperous future. We must remember that science is a fascinating world, but still a tool. Achievements must be scrutinized and evaluated within society and used for purposes benefiting the group. Risk is a condition of our society, and we are invited to share its future. I want to underline the importance of creating a strong, positive vision of future chances in a beautiful world. Thank you very much.